Welcome to a very special edition of Sports Spotlight, the Movember edition with Cardiff Uni Football Club. I'm here with Josh Becker and Daniel Lewis, Vice President and President of the club here. Boys, do you want to start us off and just tell us a wee bit about what you've been doing for Movember this year?
So every day the boys have been running around each of the boys' houses. So it's about a 9K route. And someone will say, look, I'm going to do the run today. They'll knock on everyone's door and we'll get a photo. And the idea of that is basically just to say, like, you've got a friend here for you kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it like just brings all the boys together. So yeah,
that's great. Yeah, and as Prez, it's been your sort of, I presume you've been out every day. I would have estimated.
Yeah, it's a good little thing we do. So it's just showing that there's always strength in numbers in vulnerability, especially with men's mental health. Sometimes I feel like it's stigmatized that we can't speak about it. So it's a kind of a cool way to, one, raise money, two, stay active, three, to show that there is always someone to talk to in case of need, if you need. So yeah, I'm quite proud what we've done so far. We've raised 1,500, which is really good for us. We're quite a small club, so I'm very, very happy that we smashed our target. Yeah, I'm proud of it all, and I think it's a really good idea.
Yeah, I know it's definitely been something on social media. You've, as you say, you've raised all that money. We've been seeing you out and about every single day since even when you've had football matches every single Wednesday. You've been out like before the nights of games. You've been doing a wee bit with smaller societies, haven't you? As Cardiff Uni.
Yeah, so we've done a run with ladies rugby. They're doing, I think, a mile a day as well. So it's kind of put two ideas together. We've done that too. And they interviewed us going around just chatting about what makes us, if we're having a bad mental health day, what maybe can make some of the boys feel a bit better, or anything they do in their routines and stuff, which is quite eye-opening to see how different people react in different ways. So I thought it was it's very like insightful for both sides as well, seeing how women deal with it as well, how men deal with it, and how different people might handle it in different ways that I wouldn't. And some people wouldn't do it my way. So it's quite interesting to get different like variations of how people handle struggles in university. So
yeah, and it is interesting when you look at how your university athletes, like you play in box, which is the highest level of British university sport. You've got to juggle that. You've got to juggle your degree, which is I don't worry. I know it's just student media, and I probably a wee bit on the side of student media, to be fair. But I can't imagine like if you guys having to train the plays you do and do that. What would you say is your sort of way of, I guess, coping with that sort of pressure of both sides of it?
Obviously the Wednesday you got the game, and then you got the social. And then obviously like the Thursdays after the game, you got to go back to your degree and do all the work. And it is hard sometimes, but I think it's more like when all of us are really up for it. So everyone looks forward to it every week, just the Mondays and Wednesdays. So I think that's what keeps us going, really.
Yeah, it sort of gives you that incentive to go ahead and sort of say, right, I've got this sort of thing to look forward to with boys. Is there any sort of, I guess, a lot of clubs have well-being officers. Is that something that you've sort of bought into in terms of a collective effort for you?
Yeah, so we have a well-being officer, Isaac, and he's brilliant. He'll check up on lads, text them morning after, one to see if they're hungover, two just to see how they're doing as well. So, but he's always there. He's such a kind lad. But we've had a well-being officer for the last couple of years, and every single one since I've been in university has been brilliant. Even as a fresher, coming into Cardiff, moving away from my parents and stuff like that, living alone, like it can be a lonely experience. So having even just that one person to know, like that could be like my rock. If I need to go to to chat to someone, he could be that person. But then as a freshman as well, when I was coming through university, I think the whole club was so like welcoming, like the past presidents, even just like the older boys. I feel like I could have chatted to anyone. And I feel you kind of build that up through that community, through training and stuff like that. Like you train on the Monday, and then everyone, you get excited for the Wednesday, and then even if the results don't come in, everyone at the social, then you're chatting about your game, you're chatting about the night. It's almost like just makes you feel a bit better about everything. It gives you that something to look forward to every Wednesday. So it's definitely been a plus to my university experience.
What were you, Josh? Or did you say?
Yeah, no, 100%. Obviously, when I came in, all my other friends went to different universities or went into jobs, so I came here alone. I remember calling my dad on actually the first week. I wanted to drop out because I didn't really get on with my flat. And then it's when I found out I got into the uni team through the trials. I started to find boys with similar interests, and then the older boys, again, they were really welcoming. I thought there was going to be this ideology of like freshers being like really bullied and stuff like this, but no, it's a complete opposite. They were really nice and really welcoming. got to know everyone, and then from then I just started really enjoying uni. I think through football, just like seeing my friends, and we had like our own fresher group chat, and we all became mates. Start going out and doing other stuff. Then other than just playing football, like we started doing other stuff as well. So I think that really helped.
I guess you sort of like a sense of identity almost in terms of like these are sort of my group of people. We've got this
sharing
common
common
interest.
interests.
And it's so important at university because I think we all come to university. Most of us, I'd say, good proportion of us at Cardiff University come from from either England or Scotland or overseas or Northern Ireland. In my case, and it can be quite a lonely experience. Especially if you sort of you're away from family for the first time. I guess what sort of like coping mechanisms would you boys have in terms of just like yourself? Would you do like any things for your mental health personally?
Yeah,
Sort of
I have
taking along.
I have a couple of things. So was the same thing as you. Like, came into university. I struggled for the first week as well. I just didn't know how to like chat to people. I was quite an antisocial person. I just didn't know how to make friends, two, how to even start. So when football gave me that platform, and then I kind of became really close to my house as well. I was really lucky that I made a lot of good friends quite early on in my university experience. So I just used to just openly talk. I've always been a person that will just say if I'm feeling down, I'll just say, because I don't really like keeping things to myself if I'm feeling like that. So I would just say to my mate, be like, can I chat to you for 5 minutes just to get everything off my chest? And yeah, that's how I cope with it. And also like bringing my parents and genuinely like outside interest, like football, like genuinely looking forward to the Wednesdays. Like it keeps you going. You've always got that, like, if I'm having a bad week, then it'd be like, well, I got football on the Wednesday, or I got training on the Monday, I see the boys on the Wednesday. So it just kind of gives you that looking forward, like it's almost like a little bit of promise next week. If I'm in a bad week, like a university week, like maybe I didn't do great on an exam or something like that, then you kind of, I have something to look forward to, like to bounce back. That's what I found as well. And maybe a little bath as well. I don't mind that.
The ice bath. I tell you, truth, I've actually never tried an ice bath. It's one of my regrets. Yeah, no, I've tried plenty of cold showers and stuff like that, plenty of cold dips and the like of it. But no, I've never actually tried that. It's something I should definitely try. Where do you do that? Where do you do the ice bath?
Well, to be fair, I used to put ice in my tally shower, like on the floor. Can't believe I'm admitting this on camera. Yeah, I used to do that. And one, it was for rehab of my legs, and two, it kind of just like it'd wake me up a bit more, and then it's almost like now, I've had this like new breath of fresh air. I've like rolled over, and I'm on to like the next hour of the day. So that's how I used to deal with it. I know it's quite niche, but yeah,
I don't blame you. We both play club on the weekend as well, so we have training for uni and club, and then we have a match Saturdays or Friday nights, and then Wednesday. So it's constantly, I feel like we're just constantly playing football. So he's injured at the moment, but with all the football, obviously,
yeah, especially as we touched on, like balance and everything. It's been quite weird. So I fractured my foot about 6 weeks ago, and I was talking about like the Wednesday promise. I've kind of had that stricken away from me. It's been really quite a weird experience. I've never been injured really before, so it's almost like I'm trying to balance the degree of like I've done the law bit, and then I come to the football and I can't play. So it's been quite tough to be fair. Like, I genuinely, because I live in a football house as well. I don't like everyone else is playing football. Even when you go to the social after everyone's chatting about the games, it kind of give you that bit of like FOMO. Like, oh, I want to play. So that's been quite. That's why I reached out to you about that. I feel like sometimes it's just best to like get it open. Like it's been a rough couple of weeks just because the one thing I've done every week, I train 5 times a week and play 2 games, just get stricken all that away. And it's been like, well, what do I do with my time now? So yeah, that's been quite difficult. I found it, and especially in university, like injuries can hamper well-being, I think, a lot. And I think that's not something that many people talk about, how like there's a lot of pressure on university students, especially in other sports, to perform. And then when you get that stricken away with injury or result, how much it can actually affect you, especially with university being such like a lonely lifestyle. How both elements can combine can lead you on a downward spiral. So I think stuff like this, stuff like chatting to your friends, going on a walk, like doing any niche things you have, like my ice showers or anything like that. Like it is quite crucial to have. And obviously I've been very fortunate. I've had a lot of good friends. The football club have been brilliant since I've been at university. So all that combined, it's just good to get that out of the way.
Yeah, it's definitely a thing. You see more, and it's such a positive thing because it was a taboo subject, men's mental health. And I think men increasingly are coming out and they're talking more about it. It's an absolute fantastic, and it's fantastic you come out and you said, let's do this interview, let's do this podcast, and let's sit down and let's talk about mental health, because it is like guys help. You definitely feel a pressure. I don't know, I can only speak from my own personal experience, but you definitely feel a pressure. You feel a pressure to perform.
Yeah, yeah.
Some people might say that's oh, that's toxic masculinity, or whatever, but it's like I think it's like, for me personally, it's like a sense of purpose, that you've got, that you want to be sort of the best version of yourself, and obviously including that, and they will feel those pressures as well. I guess, how do you like, is that something that ever comes into your mind as a man, in terms of I guess comparing yourself up to a certain ideal masculinity, or is that not something that really concerns you too much?
No, I don't think so, really. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think it's an element of it, like definitely like I would say like more the competitiveness of that, like maybe masculinity can be overbearing in university sports. I think, touching on my last one, like if you care about a sport so much and maybe a result doesn't go your way, it can affect like your week. So I think I can apply for both, like any gender really. Like
Yeah.
if you care about something, and maybe if you care about, like, often you do student media and stuff like that, if you're passionate about it and then something maybe doesn't go your way, like maybe an interview doesn't go well, or you didn't perform well in online or something like that, like it can hamper your attitude and for like the weeks upcoming. And I feel like that could be like a big thing as well. So definitely, like, and also like, yeah, maybe a masculinity of like needing an attitude to like win as well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I mean, obviously with football, you have to kind of have that cocky element when you're playing and that kind of confidence. But obviously, some people like might not have that.
Yeah.
Just want their natural
Exactly.
Yeah.
connection. Yeah. No, so it wasn't it we see it online either. It always seems to be sort of directed at young men nowadays, and I certainly feel the pressure of it, in terms of you got to have all these figures online, and you got to do this, got to be successful and all that sort of thing. So I was sort of just wondering where your opinions on it were. But in terms of you speak about being a university athlete, how do you find the football sort of plays into your studies to move over to different?
Yeah, obviously, I feel like you kind of get in that routine of like, look, now's the time to do my uni work, and then do my uni work up until, let's say, on a Monday, 4 or 5, and then you got training at 6:30. So it's like after that, I'll finish my work at like 5, go home, have some food before training, and then you kind of just get in a routine. Like Wednesdays are like, not for me, like no uni work. I know I probably should be working. I am in 4th year, but Wednesdays for me is like I can't do work before a game. I have to focus for that game.
Yeah.
And then obviously after, you just like, win or lose, like you just start buzzing to go out to the social, as we said. So it's really hard to do work on a Wednesday. And I always find myself Thursday, like today, I will be catching up like a lot.
Yeah.
And then Fridays and the weekends, and I've got football as well, but you kind of do just get in that routine of balancing it, because it's the same thing every week. You do your lectures, you do your training, you do your games. So.
Yeah. What about yourself?
Yeah, kind of a similar thing. I do quite a demanding course, so it's almost like it's another stress on top of like I have to like plan my week out. So I know I train at the Monday, so I'll have to do my lectures, do my reading. If I have tutorials Tuesday morning, that I've got to do before training, because I know maybe it's not going to have enough time after. So it's definitely something I think plays in every student athlete's mind of, how do I balance it? Because obviously school's first, but then I'm so passionate about my sport. So how do you get that middle ground? And I think maybe that's not really like talked enough. And so the university have a lot of support for it as well. So, and I know every time I spoke to my lecturers about it, they've been very like understanding of the situation. Like they're not naive. They know that if I have a passion, I want to play football on Wednesday instead of maybe going to a law lecture, which I probably shouldn't. But so they do very well to accommodate. And I've got to say, like the university do accommodate student athletes really well on it, but it's always like a hard thing to get that middle ground of both, I find.
Yeah, and sort of moving sort of into your wider life, I suppose, in terms of coming here for university and then going home. How do you sort of find, I guess, the switch between the two things? Because I know, speaking from personal experience again, I find it quite a different experience going home for me, because I live in rural Northern Ireland in the middle of fields with cows and sheep and all that sort of stuff. And I come here and it's just like this urban, just like so much going on. So how do you
Even,
find
yeah,
that sort of
like
thing?
I was just thinking this about this the other day actually. So I went home for my reading week, and it's like the little things. Like we'd all sit on the sofa in the kitchen, like playing FIFA and stuff like that, and just like even like scrolling TikTok, whatever. Like you with all your mates in the kitchen watching films, and I go home and it's like, oh, I'm playing FIFA by myself. I'm not playing against my mates anymore. Like it felt a bit weird, and yeah, obviously going home it's completely different because it's not just packed full of students that you see every day. Like we can walk to our Giles and Kian's house 2 minutes down the road and go hang out with them, go for food, whatever, and just have a chill day. Like Thursday, perfect day for that kind of thing. But when you go home, like my mates aren't always available. They work. I'm in my fourth year, so a lot of my mates work now. They've all graduated, so it's like I'll go home and it's like they might not be available to do anything, and it's like it's such a different life. Like going home to here, I'd say, yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. What about yourself?
Yeah, I completely agree. I've been quite lucky that I only live an hour down the road in Swansea, so I see my parents every weekend. They come to watch me play football, so I've always had that like close contact. But I can imagine, like as yourself, going back home maybe once or twice a year, how isolating that probably could be. And to be fair, and like another thought I was thinking about was, coming to the end of university, so and it's almost like I don't know. I don't know how I'm going to handle leaving, like going back living like at home and not having like a routine, like a university routine, like going into work straight after university. Maybe like I think some people could struggle with. So yeah, it's definitely. On my part, it's been quite good because I'm obviously quite local, but I can completely get how it, all that if you're living far away from home, how it could maybe affect your mental health being in university.
Yeah, I think it's that. Yeah, it's nice that you've got that family.
Yeah,
Like, it's good. It is good. It's so good to see the family even more in like third year.
yeah.
I don't know what it is. What's happened? Like in terms of the shift in how I think or what. Yeah, certainly every time I leave to come back here, I feel it a bit more. I'm like, oh, miss my
Yeah.
family,
Yeah,
So and it's interesting that way around. In terms of the difference between being here and being at home in terms of the environment, but also in terms of, you're on one side of it, you want to see your friends,
Yeah.
you want to be social, that they're like almost like a bit like your family as well. But then yeah, and you've got your family at home, so it's just two completely different experiences. But what plans do you sort of have going forward, I guess, for post uni, and what do you think, I guess, to round off, what's your university experience taught you how about your mental health and how to, I guess, like help yourself, I suppose.
Obviously, I think it's given me a lot of independence. So the main like the main realization I had of my independence was like actually last year I was in Valencia as part of my course. So I study Spanish. I had to do a year abroad in Valencia, and I flew out there alone. And I remember like leaving like my mum and dad. I know I've been at uni for 2 years before that, like being alone, being with my mates, but it was a completely different experience going to another country. Like I'm sure you found it here coming to Wales
Yeah.
from Ireland. Like getting on that plane is a scary thing. So yeah, definitely when I went to Valencia, that taught me a lot about myself, how I have to manage myself, like cooking, like shout out to my mum, she's a really good cook, but like I'm getting better at that. Like, do you know what I mean?
It's
Doing my
always
washing
that's a
is like,
handy
yeah,
skill,
yeah,
like,
yeah,
I think the one thing I've learned from university is definitely don't take it for granted. Like time
yeah.
goes
Oh,
very
yeah.
quick. Like feels like only last week I was in Taliban starting my freshers week, like, and all of a sudden we're coming to the end of our first ever last semester. So it definitely don't take time for granted. And if you are struggling as a student athlete, please chat to someone about it. There is always someone you can talk to, lecturers, friends, teammates, coaches. Like there is always someone. I feel like, and I feel like men should be doing that more. Like student athletes is a demanding lifestyle for any sport, any gender. So if you are struggling with it, if you are struggling to balance your coursework, or maybe you're having thoughts about what you can do after uni, just chat to someone, get it off your chest. There'll always be someone that will be feeling the same thing.
Now I'm with Giles Bass and Cian O'Neill, two Cardiff University football players. Boys, do you want to tell us a wee bit about your roles, I guess, and what you've been doing for Movember?
Um, so obviously the club this year doing our runs every day, which is obviously really good. I haven't been able to do any of them because I'm injured at the minute, which is a bit frustrating, to be honest. I feel like I'm not really pulling my weight too much. Um, but yeah, obviously we're doing good stuff. It's good to have the boys come around every day, like, have a quick chat with them on the doorstep. It's
Yeah.
yeah, it's good.
Yeah, just keep the runs going really. Yeah, daily runs. Obviously, we've got the challenges like we're working towards. So we like certain checkpoints in our fund, funds that we raise. The boys have got different things to do. Like I'm sure Dan's mentioned already, there was a 24 hours of Mackey's, and there's loads of different challenges just to keep the boys ticking, really, keep everyone happy. So
What is the overall goal in terms of money?
I mean, obviously, it's just to raise as much as possible, really. Yeah, we set a target of 1,000. We've already beat that already.
Yeah,
We're about 1,500 at the minute, which is over double what we raised last year. So it's really good. We've done really well this year. I mean, it's just try and raise as much as possible, really. Keep doing what we do with the runs every day and chatting and keep raising money and supporting men's mental health, really.
Yeah, it's
So,
the awareness as well, isn't
yeah.
it? It's like, obviously the money helps out the charity, but obviously just for men's mental health, really just raising as much awareness as possible. So, you know.
Well, I talked to Dan and Josh probably about the more general details of the Movember to get us started. But who's the quickest out of the lot of you? Just to take it off topic a wee bit, who's been setting the pace in this month?
I mean, with
Obviously
the
not
runs-
yourself. I mean, you
Yeah,
would be
I know.
obviously.
I know. If I was
That's one that
fit,
you weren't
yeah.
injured. Yeah.
Well, to be fair, a couple of the boys have been really doing well. Ben Mallock is a fresher. He's done quite a few runs, to be fair to him. Maurice, who's charity sec, has been organised it all. He's done a really good job and he's been doing loads of the runs. A couple of Sam Bentley, Josh Hockin, a few boys.
Bentley's always up there, to
Bentley
be
last year was
honest.
really
He's
good
always
for it as
the
well.
bang.
Yeah, he's always
It's a lovely Gary Neville quote there.
yeah. But now he's
I think everyone's really pulling their weight,
Yeah,
aren't they?
everyone is.
I think, that's the main
Everyone's
thing. Everyone's
donated,
getting
so-
involved. Everyone's trying to do it.
yeah.
Even if you can't do the runs, you're
Yeah,
still getting involved.
Just still in the selfies
Yeah.
most days.
Very good, yeah. But pulling your weight for sure.
Yeah.
Well, we'll go into a wee bit of chat about mental health. So we've been chatting to Josh and Dan, obviously, about sort of the way sort of they cope with being a university athlete. First question would probably be about that, the university athlete having a degree in your fourth year, Giles, doing a master's, and
I'm
Katie,
the same as well.
you're
Yeah.
fourth year as well, doing a master's as well. So that's quite an intense thing, isn't it? A master's, we all know that. I think anyone that's done it, they'll tell you it's a very intense experience. You don't really have time for an awful lot else. But how do you manage sort of that intensity of your degree with sort of performing for a Bucks level sports team?
I think for me, and I've had it the same, like obviously at the start of the year before I was injured, and for the past 3 years, like a lot of my life is structured around Wednesdays and being able to play, just being able to play football. That I always make sure I get my work done so that I can enjoy my Wednesdays and be able to play on a Wednesday. Because if I've got like deadlines and stuff, I'll always put in the graft beforehand to make sure I can still be able to play and do the things which I enjoy and keep me happy, really. Because if I'm like not able to play, which I'm not at the minute, it's like so frustrating and it's such a killer at the minute, to be honest. Like just kind of not being around the boys, and it's the thing that I love football. It's what I've always done. It's what I've always enjoyed. So like not being able to play, and it's not just the playing, it's not being around the boys, like in the dressing room before a game, after the game, like, having a laugh. So I think trying to find the balance to do the things you enjoy is always kind of the best thing to do, really. And that's what I've done the past 4 years now, really. Just
That's it. Like as a Bucks athlete, I think a lot of the students that do their sports will base their weeks around the Wednesdays.
Yeah.
Really, I think that's the most important thing. It's what you look forward to. It's what we talk about most days. Like we'll go to the pub, and that's what we'll be talking about. Who we've got next, what's coming up, what cuts are in still, like varsity, like all of that. Is all structured around, really. So I think it's important, really, to make sure that you kind of find that balance of, making sure you get, like you said, Key, like getting your course done early, and like obviously you've got deadlines to meet, making sure you schedule that in advance, really. So
They're all stacking up. Yeah, no, it's such an it's interesting you say that, because Dan was also talking about his injury and how that's been quite tough for him, and that's probably that brings into discussion of a wider sporting a sporting focus where on mental health, where you've got athletes. Injuries are a huge thing in athletics and sport, and especially in team sports, that can be quite an isolating experience. Whether you're playing in the Premier League, whether you're playing Sunday League football, or wherever you're playing. What are some sort of, I guess, mechanisms that you maybe sort of learn to bring in to sort of help out during those periods, and maybe challenge yourself if you've had some injuries in the past couple of years?
I think like it's difficult, especially like I live with Giles and a couple of the other boys. So like on a Tuesday night when they're like talking about the game and stuff, or on a Wednesday morning, that it can be a bit like frustrating sometimes. But I just kind of try to put it in the back of my mind. And end of the day, like, I love the club and want the club to do well. So I'm there. Like, I'm still supporting the whole way through it. The fact that I can't play obviously is really frustrating. In terms of my mechanism for it, it's just try to put it out of my mind and just think like I still want the club to do well, and I still want to support the boys, still my mates, and I still like want everything to go well. And ultimately, when I'm like doing my rehab and stuff like that, but that's it's in the front of my mind is trying to get back fit really. And the season's only pretty short. You only play 10 league games and then cups as well and varsity whatever. Because the league's so short, I'm missing basically half the season. So I want to be able to play like as many as I can play. So that's obviously like a motivation to get that fit, really. Because you could go one or two ways. You try and use it as a motivation to be able to play. But yeah, just still being around the boys and not like isolating myself is probably the way I've dealt with it so far.
Yeah, 100%. Like you said, just to reiterate your point about surround yourself with the boys. I think
Yeah,
that's why we do. We really love the sport we do.
Yeah.
Like, football's been a massive part of our lives, like the entire time. And I think once you buy into a team, you're really like strongly connected to the boys like around it, and it's just like it makes the social side so much better. Like when you're meeting up with them, that's what you're talking about. It's what you're thinking about, really. And it's
Yeah.
just like I understand, like if you've had like a tough injury, like in terms of coping mechanisms, it's just a matter of time. It's shit, like excuse my French, but it's one of those things where it's like mentally draining, but like you've got the characters around to help you get through it. And like obviously like here's like doing stretches, like we'll go gym together and like do all of that, make sure we're doing the right, just how we're gonna get through it. So
Yeah.
So surround you with people that care about you.
yeah.
It's also, I think, it's sort of elements of what you're saying there is controlling controllables.
Yeah.
Controlling
Yeah.
how you respond to the injury. I think that's such an important thing for just mental health in general. Really, just I think like it's okay. Things do not go in a linear path in your life. They don't go up, 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 up. It goes up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. And hopefully, if you're focused on what you can control, you go in sort of a linear path in the end. What would you have any sort of, I guess, would it be something that you'd be like, you'll take some of the lessons that you've had in football into your sort of wider life, I suppose, for the both of you, I guess, here at uni?
I think like I'm sure it's the same for all of us really. Like a lot our personalities are shaped by football and like the football environment, and like even like your sense of humor and stuff is shaped by your teammates and having a laugh in the dressing room or whatever. So like it does form a big part of your life, and when that can be like kind of taken away as it has been, sometimes you feel a bit like lost without it at the minute. Like I've never really had I'm not like as done for about 10 years anyway, like an injury where I've been out and not been able to play for like a reasonable amount of time. So you kind of do feel a bit of a loss without it all. But I think because it obviously shapes your life, because it like shapes your life so much, I think it's kind of difficult at the same time. But like I was saying, having like the boys around me has been really good, because like I'll chat with Giles all the time. I chat with the other boys who we play with, and I think in terms of it being a part of like taking football into my wider like rest of my life, it is kind of a big part of the rest of my life anyway. So I think it kind of all blends into one really, and because obviously it's such a massive part of like my uni experience, yeah, it's like control was quite a good way of putting it. Really, there's only like, what can I do? I'm injured. Try and get back fit and prevent another injury from happening is probably what I can do, really. Yeah.
Yeah, and obviously, like you're saying, this is a big part of our life, football. So in terms of like what it reflects on our everyday life, I think it builds who we are, like how I am, how I control myself on the pitch. My confidence comes through football. It comes through sport, comes through that team sport. I would say, like, I'd like to reflect that off the pitch as well, and just like making sure I hold myself in that same sort of way. And obviously, like, you've got teammates around you that support you, like whether you're going through like whatever it is, injuries, mental health. I think it's just one of those things where it's like you've got so many people around you, and that's the beauty of like team sports. You've got so many players, whether it be the coaching staff, whether it be the players in your positions, like your backups, or whether it's going to be like your teammates. You've got so many people there that it does reflect everyday society, really, because you're always working and collaborating with people, whether that be a course or whether that be at work or something. Yeah.
No, it's interesting you say that about your confidence and how it comes from that football. I think everyone has something that they attach their confidence to,
Yeah.
and that's no, like that's everyone. That's no issue. But it's also interesting how you have the sort of values from football as well, which are a very strong thing. Like principles and values are a very strong thing in terms of being confident within yourself and in your own skin. What would you say is the culture within the club in terms of chatting about your mental health and sort of getting together, and you do anything, I guess, outside of football? Or I know you used to watch movies together, you used to hang out, play FIFA. To be anything else you do?
There is still a stigma around men's mental health, really, and that's what what we're trying to change with our Movember scheme, and Movember altogether does a great job at trying to make it more normalised. I think, to be honest, kind of recently is the first time I've really kind of had mental health struggles, like personally, and that came from outside of football, and the injury also didn't help that at all. And I went quite a few weeks without chatting to anyone about it. I was just kind of taking it on my own, and I was kind of at a crossroads, and I was very confused with how I was feeling. And then I kind of had a bit of a moment where I realised I need to talk to people. So I've spoken to Giles quite a bit, spoken to my family, some other friends, and realised that kind of talking to people is just the best way to do it. I feel like whilst it hasn't made me feel like 100% perfect straight away after, it's definitely made me. It's almost like a bit of a weight off the shoulders because you're sharing it with someone, and it doesn't just feel like you're tackling it on your own. And it's not just going to make you feel 100% better straight away, but it definitely makes you feel a bit more free, or you've got it off your chest. And I think that, and I've kind of found a bit of a tactic of writing down how I'm feeling. Very Gen Z, I'll put it on my notes app on my phone. I'll just be, no matter what I'm doing my day, I'll just, if I'm thinking to myself how I'm feeling regarding things in my personal life, I'll just write it down on my phone, and I've kind of almost got a massive long notes app now of just how I'm feeling, just kind of spewing it onto the page, because you're getting it out there. And sometimes when you do talk to someone, so I could talk to Giles, you don't say or think absolutely, you might forget certain things you're thinking, and you then think other things later on down the line that you don't want to just go back to, oh, by the way, I think this as well. I think it's good just to write it down. So I think there have been my two ways I've been dealing with, and I'd recommend to people to deal with things, obviously talking to people, and writing it down was a tactic I've found quite helpful, to be honest. Personally.
I think it's also important just getting the other perspective. I think, obviously, Kieran's intelligent enough bloke to deal, he knows what he's thinking, he knows how to deal with his thoughts. It's just having someone else's outlook. Sometimes, like you said, if you didn't cover everything, sometimes I might just change that perspective for you. And especially with the injury stuff, you're doing the right thing, stuff like that. Just making sure he keeps ticking, making sure, oh, Keane, did you do your stretches today? Just did even a little bit. And even if he has done them, it's just giving that support, really. And it's just making sure, at the end of the day, that's, it's the same with the football. It's a team sport. You know what I mean? You get everyone through it regardless. You don't leave anyone behind, sort of thing. And I think just making sure you got someone to talk to is so important. And like you said about writing stuff down, like I've never written stuff down, but like once you suggested that, like I'm definitely gonna have to try that. It's definitely good. Just to, and like you said, speaking with your family as well. I found like my mum's been like my biggest like outlook for me, like just being able to talk to her about it. And even if we don't see eye to eye, and even like she just tells me almost just to like, you know, she's very logical and just like, yeah, this is
Different
a
perspective.
different
Yeah,
perspective. It's still a
definitely.
different perspective, and I think it's healthy to have that.
Yeah.
It really is healthy to just get it off your chest, like you said, weight off your shoulders.
Also, because like your
Yeah.
thoughts can be a bit blurred, like because you're confused with how you're feeling. It's good to get that different perspective. You think someone else is thinking with a bit like more logical mindset about certain things, and you might get that different perspective
Yeah,
is
and you
quite
have a
good.
lot of entirety around it as well.
Yeah,
Like, had someone that's coming in with a neutral, like from a neutral basis, it's very important to have that.
yeah,
Yeah, that's right, and it's brilliant that you can come out and speak about this. And I think that's one of the big things is you speak about the stigma, Kate, and men, you know, chatting about their mental health. It's always been a thing. It's always been a stigma, really, because I don't know. I guess you feel a pressure just to, I guess, just look strong, and it's that whole masculinity idea that we were talking about with Josh and Dan earlier. Yeah, it's important to be approachable as someone that can talk to. So that's great that you can come to Giles and
Yeah.
Giles can come to you, and you can be approachable together and chat about that sort of stuff. You boys you're not Cardiff residents. You're from different. Where are you from? Just
London.
London.
Yeah.
And
Exeter.
Excellent. There you go. So that's another aspect, I think, of university, being a university athlete, alongside to doing your degree and having your sports. You've also got coming to university and sort of coming back home as well. And so you got those two sort of paradoxes. How would you deal with that personally in terms of coming here where you've got probably a bit more of a I guess intense environments to maybe going home and maybe I'm not sure what what it's like for you at home, but like it's maybe less, there's less. I guess there's less social stimulation at home usually.
Yeah. I think, well, I actually went home a couple of weeks ago because I felt like I just needed to almost have a bit of a mind reset and just go home and relax a bit, because sometimes like being in Cardiff can be quite intense the whole time, and you're constantly thinking about your next night out and your next like
There's a lot
doing this
going
with the
on, isn't it?
boys and
There's so
stuff. Yeah,
much in plan.
and like there's nothing better than living with your mates, but sometimes you just need a bit of like a calm, relaxed time at home, I found. And yeah, so that's why like I went home a couple of weeks ago, and I think it done me quite well. Like I enjoyed it. And yeah, it's obviously very different when you do go home because it's just a bit more relaxed. But I really enjoy it, to be honest. Like my family, like all my best mates, really. Like I get on well with them. I love them all. Like my brothers both live abroad, so sometimes I don't see them that often, really, which can be quite tough. So like when I go home, it's not like I'm necessarily seeing them, but we still like we text all the time when we like speak, like we ring and stuff. And then like it's good to see like my mum and dad and my sisters and my sister and all my cousins and stuff are all really close. And like my niece and my sister's got 2 kids, so it's lovely to see them. But sometimes I can feel a bit like they're only 2 and 6 months, so like sometimes I'm like, oh, I'm missing out on them like growing up because I'm not at home seeing them. Like I saw my niece like a couple of weeks ago when I was home, and she'd grown unseen for about 2 or 3 months before that. And I was like, oh my god, you've grown so much! Like you're like talking and stuff now. I couldn't believe it. But it's nice to go home and have that almost like relax a bit. It is a bit intense in Cardiff.
Yeah, you say intense. Also, like everyone's kind of doing the same sort of thing. Like we've all got the Wednesdays. Like when you go home, you go back to your family. They all got different things on. Like obviously, mum's got her work. Dad's got, you know what I mean. Like it's a different. It's like what we were saying earlier, getting it off your chest and getting a different perspective. You also it changes how you. It completely relaxes you. Takes you out of the hectic lifestyle of like
Yeah.
having something on every day, or even if it's not something on, going to the pub or like going like doing whatever with the boys, like it just completely resets you. and it's just important to have that really. And yeah, I don't go home enough really, but every time I do, it's good. Even like having home cooked meals, like
Yeah.
stuff like that, like just having your bed, like it's just
Mhm.
nice, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like because you're living, as you say, Kane, you're living. And you both said you both living your own lives over here at university, and you're trying to develop yourselves, and you got obviously everything happening at home and the family, and they're progressing with their lives, and whilst you're, I guess, not together in that, you're not living with your family anyway, you can still sort of go back and sort of see them and sort of check in every now and again. And that's important as you go into adulthood, because you've got everybody grows up, everybody has increased responsibilities, and it's great that you can have that perspective on things where you have the sort of best of both worlds. But I guess to round everything off, as I said to Dan and Josh as well, what would be sort of one thing that you would take from your university experience which you think will help you with your mental health going forward?
I don't know. Like we talk a bit about how different life's going to be when you leave uni. I'm struggling to wrap our heads around how Wednesdays are going to become a normal day of the week again, and like how we live in the good old days at the minute. And I do think I'll find that quite tough when I leave, because I'll be like, I've got to become a bit more of a standard member of society now. But I think like these are like the best memories of our lives we live in at the minute. And I think what I'll take away from from my time here is just being a bit more I don't know, just having confidence in yourself. Like I remember when I started in first year, I was like, I wouldn't even really change that much across the 3 years. But looking back now, like how much I've changed and how much I've grown as an individual, is like it's almost quite can't even believe it looking back on it. And I think it's such a growth period going to be at uni. Like you grow so much as a person, like individually. I think I'll definitely take like just happy memories and stuff away from when I go home, and obviously still stay in contact with all our mates. End of the day, like I'll move home, Giles moves home. We're living in like opposite corners of the country, so I think definitely trying to maintain friendships, which I'm sure for some people is quite difficult when they leave and you're not living with Giles at the minute, and that living hundreds of miles will be a bit different. But I think it's maintaining friendships and like sticking with my mates and stuff and my boys and all the lads like I played football with. I think that's what I'll definitely take away, like mates for life, really. Yeah.
Yeah, like you were saying about like the character growth, like it's important, like we come in as fresh as obviously, listening to the older boys and all this, like now we're in that position where we're actually organising, helping the club go forward, like obviously helping the social post, the Movember, like encouraging the freshers to get involved with everything. Because that's what I'm telling the freshers each week. I'm going to say, just get involved with as much as you can, because that is what you got to take away from uni, and those are the things you'll remember doing.
Yeah.
And I think that's just important for everyone that's like been to uni. I haven't really met anyone that's gone to uni and thought, oh, don't have any good memories from uni or anything like that. You're gonna have those groups, and it's so important to be a part of like a team sport or even any sort of society. Really, it's important because you're collaborating with people, and you can take that really into your next stage of, obviously we've got, like you said, we've got to go be normal members of society now and actually get full-time employment. But yeah, I think that's going to be the main thing. It's just maturing into that.
It's okay. You're going into AI, yeah, so you're gonna be making the big bucks.
I try and work and travel at the same travel. Just keep traveling,
Yeah.
Dodgers.
Regular trips to London. It's okay.
yeah. CK.
You just might be closer than you think. That's great, boys. So thank you very much. That's a very
Appreciate it.
candid conversation.